Bombshell, game over. New peer-reviewed study calls for pause and reappraisal of global COVID-19 vaccination. Whoa, I can't believe that this is it. This is game over, according to, the conspiracy subreddit. All right, well, let's see what's got them so excited. Since the announcement of the modified mRNA death vax, trademark, we knew based on the ferret and mice studies that this EUA therapy was a slow-kill bioweapon. A peer-reviewed study entitled Curing the Pandemic of Misinformation on COVID-19 mRNA Vaccines Through Real Evidence-Based Medicine Part 1 provides even more incontrovertible proof that we are in the midst of a global eugenics program, to wit. Results. In the non-elderly population, the number needed to treat to prevent a single death runs into the thousands. Reanalysis of randomized controlled trials using the messenger ribonucleic acid, mRNA technology, suggests a greater risk of serious adverse events from the vaccines than being hospitalized from COVID-19. Pharmacovigilance systems and real-world safety data, coupled with plausible mechanisms of harm, are deeply concerning, especially in relation to cardiovascular safety. Mirroring a potential signal from the Pfizer Phase 3 trial, a significant rise in cardiac arrest calls to ambulances in England was seen in 2021, with similar data emerging from Israel in the 16 to 39-year-old age group. What kind of state-forced injection is riskier than the alleged disease it is not curing, attenuating, nor preventing? Conclusion. It cannot be said that the consent to receive these agents was fully informed, as is required ethically and legally. A pause and reappraisal of global vaccination policies for COVID-19 is long overdue. This conclusion was already arrived at long ago by this Substack. A complete ban and criminal tribunals are long overdue. More studies like this one will now be allowed in peer-reviewed journals precisely because the death-vaxxed, trademark, genetically modified VAIDS sufferers are about to get decimated by the upcoming cold and flu season. Narratives will be rapidly changing as mass-induced fear will be reinforced and exacerbated to further confound everyone as sudden and mysterious mortality surges kick off. Do not comply. Okay, so apparently the conspiracy theorists were very excited about this new study, just absolutely shitting themselves for the past several weeks waiting for it to be published. And, it's a bit of a red flag when the people who know about a particular study before it's published are some of the absolute stupidest people on the planet. Let's note some other red flags. The study, a word I am using very casually, was done by Asim Malhotra. And according to his Wikipedia page, he is a British cardiologist whose, quote, views on diet and health have been criticized by the British Heart Foundation as misleading and wrong, and his public questioning of the need ever to use statins has been condemned as a danger to public health. His POP diet was named by the British Dietetic Association as one of the top 5 worst celeb diets to avoid in 2018. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Malhotra published a book called The 21-Day Immunity Plan, making claims that following the diet could quickly help people reduce their risk from the virus. Such claims are not backed by medical research evidence. Yep. Definitely a whole bucket full of red flags right there. And let's see, Asim Malhotra has published this groundbreaking new study in the Journal of Insulin Resistance, which is edited by Asim Malhotra in part. So, yeah. All of that aside, let's get into the study itself. Malhotra conducted a study that recruited no subjects. He did no experiments. He did nothing because this isn't a study. It is a narrative review of existing data on COVID. And he gets that data from sources like John Ioannidis, who I've talked about several times because he really just made it his whole career to be being wrong about COVID, starting with March of 2020, when he estimated that the United States would see about 10,000 deaths total from COVID-19, which we now see every 3 weeks or so. He mocked people who thought we'd see as many as 660,000 deaths when we are currently just over 1 million. in the US alone. Other data Malhotra discusses comes from an organization called the Health Advisory and Recovery Team, or the HART group. HART is a collection of absolutely batshit anti-vaccine lunatics, as John Bai has documented over on Twitter. HART's leaked chat logs show members falsely claimed that vaccines caused carnage, talked about hanging nurses, suggested using unfounded concerns over fertility to put people off vaccination, and discussed ridiculous theories about 5G and magnetism. HART's co-founder believes the old lie that childhood vaccines cause autism and profits from curing it with homeopathy. Members shared content from anti-vax and extremist groups, including nonsense like COVID doesn't exist and vaccines are bioweapons. There's a lot more. I highly recommend you click through to read that entire thread because it's absolutely horrifying exactly how off the rails these people are. But this lady here who thinks that tiny parasitic worms are infesting face masks, this is Claire Craig, who Malhotra thanks at the end of his article for edits and data analysis. Claire found a black thread in a face mask and assumed it was a tiny dead parasitic worm. So that was his editor. Anyway, the HART data that Malhotra cites includes things like this preprint in which they conclude that anomalies in COVID death data indicate that it can't be trusted because researchers are probably miscategorizing deaths as unvaccinated when they're really vaccinated. The anomaly in question is that unvaccinated deaths in various age groups tend to immediately spike after the release of each vaccine or booster. HART seems to suggest that this is because those are actually vaccinated people who are dying because of the vaccine, when in fact, it's just that when the vaccine becomes available, a bunch of people go out and get the vaccine, which reduces the total number of unvaccinated people in that age group, which means every death in that group is now a greater percentage of the total group than it was before. Like, you'd also see a spike in the number of unvaccinated people with nose rings. Like if I have 10 unvaccinated people and 2 of them have nose rings and then the other 8 go and get vaccinated, the number of unvaccinated people with nose rings would suddenly jump from 20% to 100%. Oh no, it must be some kind of conspiracy. So yeah, if you hear from your conspiracy monger great uncle that a big new study proves vaccines are dangerous or not working or whatever, you can reassure him that there is no new study, just an old misunderstanding, intentional or not, of statistics. Sorry, r/conspiracy, but it looks like the game isn't quite over yet.